ho, 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 ho! That's not so bad, really. No, no, no. Being an XXY, all different, you know. Um, I was asked a few questions by Leslie here about educational concerns, social interactions, laziness versus self-direction. I'm sure she's briefed you on all the on the page of questions and possibilities of how myself and my mother can help you, parents of XXY children, out. So basically, my mother has written about 4 pages here of stuff, and we're rushed because of the Christmas rush, so you'll understand. Um, okay, I'm 32, by the way. I'm an entertainer, musician essentially, and so that works well for me. Not to have to go to a regular job essentially, and have somebody over me, telling me I'm too slow or whatever. I work at my own pace, which really works for me. Um, anyway, just to give you a bit of background on myself. My mother says this: Gavin was diagnosed at age 18, even though I had diagnosed him myself at age 4, but had been dismissed by professionals. Basically, she was very angry, full of rage that she hadn't been listened to before. She was also relieved because finally some name or syndrome was there in place of her searching for an answer to the problem. The guilt she had felt now had a chance of leaving. She felt deep sorrow, grief at the fact that her son had to experience all this trauma in his life, and that his life would and was very challenging. She felt deep grief that he could not have children, including myself. I didn't actually know until I was 21. My mother couldn't come to telling me, because I absolutely love children, and that's the hard point of it. It is definitely hard. People say you can adopt, but it's obviously not the same thing. If you want half of yourself and half of your love, and making a child out of the two. Anyway, fears were related mainly to the following: osteoporosis, maybe me needing a neck brace or walking stick, maybe being incapable of walking. Secondly, fitting into society, being comfortable with myself, or being confident. These are all my mother's fears, and also forming relationships. They say XXY klinefelters people have difficulty maintaining relationships. Anyway, so she says Gavin is very aware of all these issues and knows what he needs to do. Osteoporosis, I've been on testosterone 13 years, and my bone density improved, though still is below the 0 mark. I'm very sociable, and I've made a life for myself, and I'm still making a life for myself, and I'm still ironing out the creases. And essentially, I'm not really understood, even with video form. And I think you have to work out what is your son's thing and what is the XXY part of your son. Your child, I'd like to say, really. Yeah. Now, the difference in educational experiences. If parents or teachers knew about KS, they could have made allowances for the frustration of not being able to get the words out verbally or in written form. They could have preempted the aggressive outbursts due to the frustration of the above. Using exercises like the brain gym, and taking nutritional supplements, homeopathics and kinesiology could have helped. Understanding that short-term memory is not good. There are different learning techniques that could have been used, such as repetition of exercises, maths, spelling, reading, and poetry. 2. Regular reminders of what is needed to be done throughout the day. 3. On the tiredness, being allowed to take breaks, relaxation exercises, and naps. Now, how to better communicate that frustration and anger. Have punching bags or physical activities that allow emotions to be processed. Example, play therapy. If there was understanding of communication difficulties in the first place, then it could be preempted. Example, make tasks simple. Make instructions for tasks clear or clearer. Speak slowly and clearly. Check to see if the person has understood. Ask them to tell you what you need to do. Yeah? So make sure they understand, right? What is needed. Because a lot of the time for me, people would say, you know, do this, do this, do this, and it would go register in my brain, I'd get it, go for that. And then I'd go do it and I would forget maybe the first thing and I'd have the third thing and I'd know the end task but I'd forget what to do. So, you know, short-term memory. Laziness versus self-direction. How to motivate. Teachers, like my mother for 25 years, teachers very often label students lazy, whereas in fact they are not. They simply have not been able to follow the lesson. At some point, either at a visual, audio, or computational level, or eye-hand coordination level, they switched off. It's about switching off, not laziness. People learn in different ways. There's a need for teachers to approach a lesson through many angles in order to capture different individuals' methods of learning. It is difficult to feel motivated about learning when you fail consistently. Yeah, I'll repeat that. It is difficult to feel motivated about learning when you fail consistently. Therefore, it's important for teachers to set tasks where the student succeeds, taking into account the different ways of learning, and within each method there are again many ways to learn. Yeah? And yes, on the last note here, the doctors told my mother nothing at the time. Now I know there's more, information available. There's all sorts of places to go, and so they knew nothing. The doctors told my mother nothing. They knew nothing. They equally, at the age of 4, my mother had thought that maybe I had klinefelters syndrome. Then she thought that I had Tourette's syndrome. All these sorts of things, and the doctors ignored that. So one geneticist in Ireland, the only knowledgeable doctor, told my mother that the condition would improve with time. So yeah, that's true. Each year, she says, I'm more mature, and that is true. I'm within time, you can really improve yourself. As any normal adult will know, time heals every wound, and the best of my heart. Okay, the best of my heart goes out to all of you people out there who have similar sons, similar children who are XXY. Just on a final note, there are XXY females out there. I mean, actual physical females, but they're XXY too. So on a level, I suppose we are talking about Klinefelter syndrome. But again, not every Klinefelter or XXY person has got the symptoms of Klinefelter syndrome. We all vary in huge and small degrees. So I would treat your child like an individual, excellent species, and give them the best of your love. So that's Peace and Party and the Mother signing out. Peace and Happy Christmas.